It feels like to me 2025 has been the year of releases for lip stains. We have lip mask stains, water stains, jelly stains, glossy stains, all stains of all kinds. So now the question really is, which ones should you invest in? I have taken lip stains of all textures, finishes, and price points that I've recently been testing out, and I'm swatching and comparing them all for you guys today. Now, while today we are only going to be talking about recently released stains or ones that I've recently tested, I do have a lot more than these. So if you guys would like to see a part 2 of some sort where I talk about even more of my lip stains, like my K-Beauty lip stains, my lip products, past viral lip stains, or maybe even just like a roundup of every lip stain I own, just let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see. If I have the footage, I will also be inserting wear tests for these products, and I'm going to be talking about the best case and worst case scenarios for each one. So if you're curious to see which lip stains will stand the test of time, no pun intended, then let's get started. So I've divided each lip stain within texture category. I felt like that would be the easiest. We're going to be talking about each one really in depth. So as always, I'm going to be leaving timestamps down below for you guys so you can easily navigate this video to find exactly which product that you're looking for. And of course, at the end, we'll be talking about my absolute favorite ones. Firstly, let's talk about water stains. So essentially, water stains are going to be the thinnest textures that you can find. They're the ones that have the pigment suspended in water. And the way that I see it, water stains are the best formula for ease of use because they give you that stain right away once you apply it onto your lips or your cheeks. And speaking of on your cheeks, they are the most multi-use that I have found because they're the most even and pigmented on your lips as well as your cheeks. They're super quick and super buildable as well. And I find that if we're comparing it to other lip stain categories, water stains are technically, for me, the worst for longevity. If we're going to talk about water stains, we have to talk about these E.L.F. blush tints. They're called blush tints, but they are marketed as being lip and cheek tints. So for me, I really wanted to test these out as both. I've talked about this in at least like 2 or 3 other videos. I will link those videos down below in case you want to see me talk about them. But for me, these E.L.F. ones I have in my hands, Left on Red and Cherry Cola. They have sheer pigmentation upon first swipe, but they are very, very buildable. Like I said, I think that water stains really excel in the buildability of them. They go on very evenly, even though they are sheer. I don't find that these accentuate any of my lip lines or where my lips meet like the inner part of my lips, if you know what I mean, like more of that dry area. These glide on very evenly. They're comfortable. It doesn't cling to dry patches like I said, or the inside of my lips, which I find is really important for water stains. This actually does show up on my cheeks as a multi-use product. It's not going to show up as pigmented as it does on my lips, but you can build it up on the cheeks. I would recommend if you're going to put it on the cheeks, whatever you have already existing on your face makeup wise, to let that dry down as much as possible before going in with this. You will want to go in, tap it a little bit, leave it alone, and then tap it a little bit more after a couple of seconds, because that drying time within blending it out, I find helps to make sure that this does not move anything underneath and it preserves the pigmentation from these. And I have worn these many, many times and they don't last extremely long since they can fade with water, since they are water based. So on the lips, they do fade a lot faster than on the cheeks because your lips, you're more dynamic, you're talking, you're drinking, you're eating throughout the day. So these in particular do not last extremely long, but they do last longer than, I don't know, like a lip gloss, but they're not going to last longer than your long-lasting bullet lipstick, if that makes sense. The way that I really enjoy using these are actually as a foundational color on my lips. So with clean lips, I will apply this, and then that will act as the base for any lip color that I put on top. I do not have very pigmented lips, and this kind of just brings it to a level where I have a little bit of pigment to build off of. And you might be thinking, what is the point of doing that? Well, when my lip gloss or my lipstick or my lip liner fade throughout the day, I still have a little bit of color without having to go in and reapply everything at once. Like I still have something on my lips, which is something that I much prefer versus nothing. And by the way, these water tints have no transfer once they dry on the lips. Now we have the Etude water tint, and I have this in the shade 4. Now I know that this isn't technically a new product. I believe they did expand it earlier this year, but for me, this is brand new. This is my first time using it, and I picked this up early May, and I've been testing it since then. So I did want to mention it because for me, it's new. I know for a lot of you, you probably already have experience with it, but this is probably, along with the Benefit Benetint, one of the first water tints that we really saw on the market for people to kind of get a feel for. I did go with something a little bit like a darker cherry tone, at least that's what I thought I went for, and I think it really does give a very beautiful deeper red tone. This does have the highest pigment load of the water stains that I have tried that I own, and it also has the most staining power. I do find that this actually lasts quite long on the lips. I would say for me it's very comparable to like the Wonder Skin lip masks. If you guys have ever used those have extremely good staining power on the lips, but this one, since it is a water stain, once you swipe it onto the lips and it dries in and absorbs kind of, then it pretty much stays there. However, I do find that my biggest gripe with this, and one of the reasons why I don't reach for this that often, is it's a little bit finicky. I find that this one really emphasizes the inside area of my lips, and it makes it look dry and cracked even if my lips don't feel dry or they didn't start off dry and cracked. It just gives that illusion, kind of like you were sucking on a popsicle, but most of the pigment is like stuck on the inner part of your lips. So that is not flattering for me. I have tried to kind of focus this pigmentation on the outer areas of my lips, but because it is a water tint, it can very easily just spread across the entire lip because it's such a thin formula. So it does end up kind of making its way towards the center of my lips, which I'm not a huge fan of. This does feel drying very quickly. Now I do find that that's sort of a trend with water stains, because once the actual wetness of the product dissipates, then it's left with just the stain, you know, like there's no hydrating properties to it. And I feel like this one gets a little bit drier, a little bit faster than like the E.L.F one. This does have a scent, which by the way, the E.L.F one is unscented, but this one smells very fruity. I actually really enjoy the way this smells. If this were like in a lip balm component, I would think that a lot of people would enjoy the way this one smells. Now we're going to talk about a jelly tint. Now we are very familiar, I would think, with jelly tints because of Milk Makeup. They came out with their jelly tints, I think it was last year or maybe it was the year prior. They took lip stains and they made them fun, kind of innovative, you know, people were talking about them constantly. And in general for jelly tints, I would say that they basically have the same pros and cons as a water tint, because for me it's essentially the same thing, just in a different form of application. The finish and the longevity I find to be almost identical, but I will say that when you're applying jelly tints, I do think that it kind of dries a little bit faster on the lips than a water tint does, because it doesn't have that benefit of already being a liquid that has time to dry down. At least that's the case with the Milk Makeup jelly tints, because I do find that those dry almost immediately upon application. But this one we're talking about today is kind of like a hybrid in terms of application and drying time. So I did talk about this one as well in a recent video. So this is the CoverGirl Jelly Water Tint in the shade 50 Mulberry Melt. First of all, love this shade. I think it's super, super beautiful. This, like I said, is going to be a jelly tint, not necessarily in the sense that it's like a jello solid, but the texture of this, when you swipe it on, it does feel very jelly. It feels cool on the lips when you apply this, and it does have that very like bouncy texture to it. It doesn't necessarily leave a gloss like I had assumed that it would. The jelly texture of this kind of just aids in the spreadability of the product, and then it turns into a very thin layer of a stain. Very, very similar in terms of staining and finish of a water stain. This does have a fruity scent as well. I think that the Etude one smells a little bit sweeter, while this one is a little bit more subtle, but I do find that it's not lingering after a couple of minutes after applying this. I really like how soft this stain is. I was thinking that this would be very similar to like the NYX lip IVs in terms of pigmentation and glossiness, but this one, if you go in with one layer, it goes on almost like it could be a natural lip stain color, if that makes sense. It truly does look like it just stained your lips and you don't have any additional product on it. I think it's super beautiful. So within the wear test of this, within 4 hours, I would say, when it started to fade, I did notice that it was becoming a little bit more dry. So it did take a lot more time for this to become drying on the lips than like a regular water tint. And I did notice that there was some emphasis on the lip stain color on the inside of my lips, but there was also some pretty significant separation. You could kind of see like my natural lip color, and then on the inside of my lips you could see the lip stain again. Of course, that's probably from eating, drinking, talking, like you are moving and like smacking your lips together as you're doing all of those things. So that's where that came from. I wasn't a huge fan of how that looked, but I think initially upon first application, this honestly looked really beautiful. I have yet to try this just on like the outer perimeter, ignoring the inner portions of my lips. I do want to try that out because I actually feel like it might do better than the Etude one. There was no transfer from what I could tell whenever I was wearing this one as well. It really was just the hydration gloss portion, which again wasn't super substantial to begin with. Now let's talk about lip stain pens. So these I think have kind of gained traction throughout the last couple of years. We saw one or two like come out, I would say like CoverGirl or whatever come out, and then after that really nothing for a while. And now we have two on different spectrums of price point come out. So for me, lip stain pens are the best formula if you're looking for really precise application, if it's something that you want to use as an aesthetic lip liner, not necessarily to actually keep your lip colors from bleeding out, because that's like the traditional reason for a lip liner, at least for a pencil lip liner. But lip stain pens I think are definitely more aesthetic. So if you really like the look of lip liner and you want it to stay all day, this is great for that. For me, this is going to be the worst formula for all over lip coverage because it dries very quickly. Usually you have a very thin applicator, so before you can actually hit all of your lips, one section might dry before the next section, and if you go over the section that you already have lip stain on, it can become darker than the rest, so it can be a little bit more tricky for that. Now the Huda Beauty lip contouring stains, I did talk about this in a recent viral makeup video that I posted, and I have two shades, Rosewood and Soft Nude, and I feel like a lot of people want to hate on this, but honestly I really like them. Is that bad to say? I genuinely think that these are probably the best lip stain pens that I've encountered so far. So firstly, I love the colors. I think that the colors are super wearable. We have seen other lip pens come out that are very deep because the pigmentation is very strong, but I really like the fact that these kind of apply a little bit more sheer. I believe that's the intention of it. Some people just are saying that they're drying out too quickly, but I don't know. I tend to disagree. I actually feel like these are meant to apply a little bit more sheer, and then you can kind of like, you know, be more precise with how much you're layering on top. Rosewood is my perfect lip contour shade. It's slightly darker than my natural lip color, and it really goes well with a lot of my lip combinations these days. And Soft Nude is going to be a bit deeper and something that I can use if I want to emphasize a darker lip combo or just have a little bit more of that emphasis on my lip liner. I found in the multiple wear tests that I did with these lasted 12 plus hours on me, and the applicators on these I think are really smart. So with it being a fuzzy doe foot already, I think that it's depositing enough ink on all areas of the applicator, and this is a pinched applicator, so on the flat side you can use it to cover more area, and on the skinny side you can use to do more detail work. So again, remember, my con for this type of lip stain is that it's not great for overall coverage, but I do find that it's way more doable with this one because you do have that flat surface that you can just glide onto the lips, and at least for me this covers the majority of the area on my lips anyways, so I can work with it that way. The Lipstick Lesbians actually did a whole like dedicated video on this, pulling this apart to show you guys how the ink actually stays in there. So I'll link that down below because it gave me a better understanding and actually put me at ease about this drying out too quickly. Next we have the Wet n Wild lip stain. So I feel like not a lot of people are talking about this one just yet. I think on TikTok a lot of people are starting to like find out about this one. This one is in the shade Nude Tights. I picked up 1 out of the 3 shades. This is very interesting. I like the concept a lot of the applicator, but I don't necessarily think that it was executed exactly right. So it looks like a layer of felt and then it's kind of pointed at the top. So again, you can cover more area with this, and you can also flip it on its side to be more precise and actually get a lip line. But the problem here with me is that I think that there's uneven dispensing of the ink on the applicator. I do store all of my lip pens downwards so that the ink is saturating here, but I still feel like upon first application it kind of like skips a little bit before the ink really gets in there and you're like gliding it. Something you can possibly do, I haven't done on my own, is to swipe a couple times on like the back of your hand to make sure that that ink is evenly distributed before going in to the rest of your lips. Now another thing that I've noticed with this, and this is very, very specific, but I thought this is the place to do this. I don't usually have problems with lip colors bleeding, but I kind of find that this very, very, very slightly bleeds because I don't think that the applicator is actually soaking up any of the ink that is excess that's coming out of it. So for instance, the Huda lip pens, like I said, this is fuzzy, so it feels like the ink is distributing very well on like the fuzziness, and it also gives it a chance to absorb it with like the little fuzzy bristles. Whereas this, once the felt tip dispenses the ink, it has nowhere else to go except for on your lips or on your skin. Now I am 32 now, my birthday just passed, so I am seeing a lot of changes within my skin, within the texture of my skin. So maybe if you are younger, you don't really have any issues with that, you still have very beautiful plump lips or something, then maybe you won't even have that issue. But for me, I wanted to point that out for you guys. The last thing I want to say about this is it dries very quickly. Like I said, it's probably the fastest drying one that I found when it comes to these lip stain pens. Now, as far as wear goes, this one will last me anywhere between 5 to 8 hours that I've seen, and that's with obviously applying a lip color on top of it. When I eat, when I drink, when I talk and stuff, you do still kind of see it around like the 5-6 hour mark, but I would say around the 8 hour mark is like where I would probably reapply this. So it does last quite long, I will give it that, but it is a little bit more finicky when you're applying it, so it's not going to be an easy like just swipe this on and you're done. Next we're talking about glossy lip stains. So glossy lip stains we've seen really gain traction within the last couple of years. It has been around for a long time. K-Beauty, J-Beauty, C-Beauty have had glossy lip stains for a very, very long time, so it's very exciting to see it hit our market and see a lot of brands kind of do their take on it and bring us colors that I find are a little bit more wearable, especially for like the beauty trends in the US. So in my opinion, glossy lip stains, they are the best formula for obviously a gloss color that lasts all day. And if you're looking for like a glossy lip look, they are incredible for that, and it doesn't compromise the pigmentation of the lip product underneath. And I also feel like it's honestly really great for longevity in terms of the color, not necessarily the gloss. I find that there's a lot of variation with how long glosses last with a glossy lip stain, and for the most part the colors will stay on top because the glosses sometimes act as like a little barrier, a little shield for the actual lip stain color. Unlike something that is matte like the water tints or even the lip pens, these give you basically a 2-in-1, so it has to go through one layer before it gets to the next. I also think that these really excel in terms of reapplication. They're usually the ones that reapply the most evenly without having to like fuss with it or having to remove what you have going on before going on top again. I was trying to think like this is going to be the worst formula for X, but I couldn't think of anything, to be quite honest. I mean, it would be the worst formula if you're looking for a matte lip look. I don't know. Okay, here's one. I think that glossy lip stains are not necessarily going to be the ones that you need to get if you want it to be your base color. I have seen a lot of videos of people buying like the NYX Lip IVs or really just any glossy lip stain, applying it and letting it dry for like a minute and then wiping it off. It kind of, for me, defeats the purpose of having a glossy lip stain because you get rid of the gloss and you're just kind of using the color. Like you can get that with a lip liner or a lip stain pen or a water stain, you know, and it would be faster. It does seem like there's a lot of variation with color when it comes to glossy lips. So I don't know, to each their own, but if I had to be nitpicky, I would not choose this formula for that reason. I did purchase the Colourpop HydraPop lip stains, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've only tried the shade Baby Fox, and I haven't tried these because I was so thrown off by this one. First of all, packaging, 10 out of 10, so cute. And they also have like this little pop socket thing that holds these on your phone that I think is so cute, very much like Rhode inspired, but I think it's so cute. These feel very, very thin, which isn't a bad thing. It oxidizes a ton. I'm going to show you guys footage. This shade in Baby Fox, it does look like it's going to be like a light milky pink shade, and I went into it knowing that almost every single glossy lip stain on the market will oxidize a little bit. It just depends on that formula. These oxidize to be completely different. I would say that this ended up being like 4 to 5 shades darker on my lips than it looks in the tube, which again is not unique to this formula, but I do find that it probably would make it a little bit more difficult to pick out a color. And I did try to reference the online marketing photos of the swatches of these, but even those like seemed a lot lighter on the models than it actually performed on me. So really weird. This kind of seeps into your mouth as you're wearing it and it tastes very sweet. Could be a bad thing, could be a good thing. And let me explain why. With a lot of K-Beauty, J-Beauty, C-Beauty glossy lip stains, they taste bad. They just don't taste great. These, they taste sweet, even though you get that seepage. It's not unpleasant, but I don't experience being able to taste my lip colors often. So that again kind of threw me off. It does transfer. These are not transfer proof from what I can tell. And the worst part, this gives you butthole lips. Ugh. I was so disappointed in that, you guys. I can't explain to you. I don't remember the last time that a glossy lip stain gave me butthole lips, but they definitely did. So I was doing a little wear test of this. I applied this on my lips and then I had a conversation with my husband. The conversation lasted maybe an hour or so, and then I went to look at my lips and oh my goodness, the white ring around my lips was horrible. I would have been so grossed out if I was out and about talking to multiple people, and even if I was on camera, you know, like I don't like that whatsoever. So for me, these are a fail. There are way better lip stains out there than these, which is such a shame because this is actually the first time that I've picked up a Colourpop lip product in a very, very long time. And I feel like from what I've heard, the quality is kind of like not as good as it used to be. Let me know if you guys have more experience with their lip products and what I should try out because I was really turned off by these. The Violette FR Lip Nectars. I did talk about this in the shade Batiste in a recent video as well. I will link that again for you guys if you're interested in seeing my thoughts on it. But I did end up getting this shade. I kept going back and forth because I was thinking that the Batiste shade was very different from what I expected. So even though this appealed to me online, I kind of felt like this might not be what I expect as well. But I was like, I just have to know. I just have to know because the color looked incredible online. This is Rose de Mauve and it's going to be kind of like a nudie caramel tone. And it's what I have on my lips today. It has become one of my absolute obsessions when it comes to lip colors. This is the most beautiful glossy lip stain that I have found in terms of shade. I have scoured the internet for different glossy lip stains from Asian beauty and Western beauty that give that, like this, the nude look. And this has been the most spot on one that I've found. I'm absolutely in love with this shade. Now let's talk a little bit about the formula. So again, I will link that video down below for you guys, but this formula is very slippery, but I do find that it has like a thin layer of hydration to it. It doesn't just feel like nothing on the lips. It does have a very substantial texture where it feels hydrating. I think this has a light to medium buildable pigmentation. I can wear this alone, and I have worn this alone and I've enjoyed it that way, but I can also wear it with a lip liner and then do one layer, which is what I did today. I'm wearing this and then this Lawless lip liner in the shade Kiss on the perimeters of my lips, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. I've used it with several different lip liners, and you guys, I love this. I love it so much. It does oxidize a little bit, so it comes out a little bit more nude. So let me show you. That's how it comes out, and then that's how it looks on my lips. So definitely some significant oxidation there, but I still love it. I would say compared to other glossy lip stains, this is not as significant of an oxidation for me. Another thing that I love about this is the way that it fades. It's very even. I don't have any emphasis on the inner center of my lips. I don't find that it's splotchy at all. It really does leave a very pretty stain, and I will say that the outer layer does last a little bit longer, obviously, because again, dynamic lips, you're talking and you're smacking your lips together. It does give a very nice even fade. I don't think that it sinks into my lip lines, and it does transfer very slightly, but it's not going to be transfer proof. But again, with this formula, I find that I can reapply it throughout the day. It feels really comfortable, and it looks very fresh once I reapply on top of itself. You can kind of see here I'm drinking my water as I'm filming, and there's slight transfer right there on my bottle. All right, so those are all of the actual products that I have been testing in terms of lip stains. So the way that I rank these, I'm very partial to a glossy lip stain, if you guys can't tell. If I'm going for a long lasting color and for comfortability, which 99% of the time I am, glossy lip stains are the way to go for me. It's also really convenient to reapply, like I said, since they go on the easiest and the most evenly on top of itself. However, I have found that water stains of all sorts have naturally incorporated within my everyday makeup routine, and it's easy for me to reach for a water stain to use as that foundational lip color for my lip combo, and it adds depth to the lips, and it even is really nice again on the cheeks if I'm looking for either a foundational color or very subtle blush. Like I said, it's not the longest lasting one alone, but if I pair it with long lasting products, which I typically do, if I pair it with like lip liners and lip glosses or lip colors, I get pretty good wear time out of them because they are going to be the last layer that kind of fade on the lips. They're not going to be the most convenient to reapply because of the way I use them, but if you are using just this and maybe a lip balm, then I could see this being a very good everyday lip product. So in terms of ranking the categories, for me, I would say glossy lip stains are number 1, and then water lip stains, and then the lip stain pens are number 3. So for me, I think that glossy lip stains win for ease of use, but water stains currently are winning for me for practicality. Now, if I'm going to tell you to purchase any of these, which ones are going to be my top? The E.L.F water tints for $5, and for the variety of colors, they are so easy to use. I think they're very beginner friendly, but I also think they just add a little something to your makeup. Like, I really love the fact that you can use this as a foundational color without feeling like you have another thick layer of makeup on, whether it's on your face or on your lips. And on the other spectrum of price point, the Violette FR, specifically in this color, Rose de Mauve, I think that this is the nudie lip stain color of my dreams that I have been looking for in terms of a glossy lip stain. It truly is that super beautiful nudie color, and I have been really enjoying doing lip combos with this one. If we have similar tastes in lip colors, I would highly recommend this. I will say that I've only had it for probably less than a week, and it's not fully filled. Like, I noticed when I first took the applicator out, it did dip down quite a bit, so you guys can see right there. So that is a little disappointing disappointing, especially for the price. But to be quite honest with you guys, if I think about how quickly I go through lip products, I still think that I'm going to get a lot of use out of this one. I definitely think that this one has filled a gap within my makeup collection and for what I've been looking for quite a long time. This is what I wish Asian makeup had in terms of colors. Maybe we will see that now that they're exploring the Western market, and also maybe we'll see it from some Western beauty brands. So that's everything for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing my thoughts on all of these brand new lip stain releases. Again, I have tons and tons of other lip stain products, so if you want to see a different variation covering the same topic, please let me know in the comments down below, as specific as you can be, because I have been racking my brain about which type of video to make, because I want to talk more about lip stains, but I just don't know what would be the most helpful for you guys. Like if you want to see like my Asian beauty lip stains, or if you want to see all of my lip stains, maybe you want to see a ranking or just a general review. I don't really know. So please let me know what you guys want, because that is what I want to deliver for you. But until then, I will leave a video right here that YouTube actually thinks you're going to be interested in based on what you've been watching recently. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It does help my channel out a ton. And until next time, you guys, please take care, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.